everybody. How are you? Robin. And I have an amazing special guest with me today. This woman and I have been on a journey, but her journey has been longer and just more life changing for other lives than our journey. We were only together for 4 years. Officer Jennifer Maddox, now retired. So now you can give us the real dirt on, on policing. But thank you so much for joining me, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me, Robin.
So I describe you as a person who fights crime the right way. It really means you prevent it. It really means you're a peacekeeper. Because as an officer, you knew that just we couldn't, as our boss used to say, we couldn't arrest our way out of this.
Right.
What made you decide to be a police officer?
So actually, it really wasn't my first career choice. My first career choice was to be an attorney, a lawyer, either defense or prosecuting. But I saw an opportunity to really support the communities a little bit more. So when the opportunity came to take the test for Chicago police officer, I jumped on it.
What year was that?
I was in 1993.
See, and you look about 25 years old, and now you worked long enough to retire. So in 93, it was kind of right after the crime bill. And there was a lot of money that came in to hire more officers because we were going to get tough on crime and all those mandatory minimums and things that we've now discovered are discriminating and not really helping us be any safer. But you were in that wave of officers that was hired at that time, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to know our nickname for you, our team at CPD, your nickname was Lil Boss because she's the boss, but she's little. Okay, so I don't want diminutive. You're about what, 5'1", 2"?
I claim 5 feet, but I'm actually about 4'11".
Which for anybody who's thinking about becoming a police officer, just remember they don't have any height requirements. As long as you can reach with the foot pedals in the car, you're good, right?
You're good.
So, and you are a giant because you really realized that you were there to try to help people, which as I discovered in my 4 years there, most police officers really want to. But you had a way of going about it that kind of looked at root causes before that became a popular term.
Yes.
So you were in your beat. Part of your beat was Parkway Gardens, which is a low-income housing development that's not public. It's not the Chicago Housing Authority. It's privately owned and run or privately managed. And the way I met you there was you were trying to get a school to let you use their building for summer programming for youth, which that's a crime fighting strategy. Let's face it, because bored young people is the enemy. And you got that school eventually, didn't you?
I did. Thanks to your help, of course.
Oh, no. Well, it wasn't me. You are relentless. So you went from that to actually basing a program called Future Ties there at Parkway Gardens.
Yes.
And what has that grown from to what?
So Parkway Gardens has now become a space where we do programming with our young people, and not just the young people, their parents as well. And so with Future Ties, we're able to tie in other entities to support the residents in that community.
And build future leaders.
Build future leaders, of course.
Instead of future problems.
Yes.
Okay. So that approach from a person in law enforcement doesn't seem that natural. Was it? I mean, how did you do it? How did you pay for it?
So believe it or not, the first 6 years I funded it out of my own pocket because I worked part-time there. So I had to come out of uniform to actually start building relationships and, getting people to trust me. The consistency piece, was the key component because they saw me there every day. And it took some time for them to really understand that I was there to really support and help.
Okay. So Parkway Gardens, as I said, is not one of the most historically notorious Chicago public housing communities. But it, in recent years, has become rather well known for, some would say, the wrong reasons. This is the area they're talking about when they say O Block, and which has been in a couple of rap songs, but it's called O Block because of two infamous murders, right?
Correct. Yes. So there was a young man who went to school around that area. His name was O.D. Perry. And when he was murdered across the street from Parkway Gardens, which on that strip of 64th and King Drive, because they don't claim 63rd, it's 64th Street. And so they decided to remember him by changing this, just that one strip to represent his name by calling it O Block.
And it's got a mural there now.
There's a mural there of King Von, who also was someone who was murdered, but he was murdered in Atlanta. And so he grew up with some of the young people and went to school with some of the guys who lived there. And so they put the mural up to represent how he supported them while they all grew up in that community.
And there are people who will say, you know, there was a gang lifestyle that was involved in all of this
Yes.
harm. And so I would imagine that some of the people who live in Parkway Gardens don't really appreciate being referred to as residents of O Block.
They don't. Some residents, you know, they look at it as being a label, and their young people or themselves can't travel into different neighborhoods, especially letting people know where they live or what their address is, because that follows them and it stops them from being able to feel safe when they enter into other parts of different communities in the city.
What trauma to have to live with day in and day out as a even as an adult, but as a young person?
Correct. Yes.
How do you deal with that?
So we go up under the umbrella of my organization's name, Future Ties. We try to, you know, make sure that young people are safe when we are taking them across the city boundaries, introducing them to different areas, because that's pretty much what they need. They need exposure.
They need to get out of the old.
They need to get out of there. They need exposure to other parts of the city to know that there is more out there for them to, you know, develop other relationships with other people and start to, you know, explore other career choices or other opportunities that might be available for them. So that's why it's very important to move them around and get them off of that strip.
Some things to hope for.
Definitely.
Okay. Besides, they don't end up on a mural.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really kind of sad that that's part of, you know, I mean, I've seen, you know, balloon and memorials, you know, in our neighborhoods.
More than what we want to see.
Oh my goodness. And some people grow up their whole life and never see one in their neighborhood. It's a completely different world. And I do like the fact that you've received some recognition for the work that you've done for so many years with not for people, but with people.
Right.
So it must feel good to get to be recognized, to be on television stations, to have you were a CNN hero.
I was. And you know, Robin, when you said to feel good about the recognition, it's not about me, because how I feel about it is that I want the families there to be recognized, you know, of the struggles and the challenges that they're actually going through. And so that maybe more people will come and contribute, come and support, not be afraid. Because I've had people tell me, well, we'll donate, but we ain't coming, you know, but I want them to come and see, you know, because they're
people just like everybody else.
They're
Want the
people
same
like everybody else.
Well, that's one thing I experienced with you in Parkway Gardens. We spent an inordinate amount of time there, so and we've had some good times, and you continue to bring those good times and hope to the folks there in Parkway, and to other folks who think, "What can I do?"
Right.
You're a great example, and you're a great example of a cop who really knows how to fight crime, because it's a lot more effective.
Treat people how you want to be treated and how you want them to treat your family members.
So this is your beat. You're noticing there's a lot of beef on your beat. There's a lot of conflict. What was going on that made you say, I need to step in besides as a police officer here?
So for one, there was nothing in that complex that was youth anything. So just parking lots.
No swing sets, no.
Nothing. So I felt like, what do you expect them to do? You know, if you have nothing there for them to utilize. And so just coming in and saying, hey, you got a basement here that's not being utilized. Let me use it. Let me open it up. let me bring some fun and excitement, and let's do some things for the young people. And many of the families, the mothers in particular, said there's no after school programs or anything that we can get our kids to support them, which was a crisis. I'm like, are you kidding me? So there's nothing after school that will help the kids with their homework, with reading, math, anything. They said no. So I took that as an opportunity to step in and change that. And we had sometimes over 100 kids coming through that basement. And I'm like, whoa,
We need a bigger space.
slow down. But the parents really stepped up because they saw that they needed that. And we still need it. We still need it.
Every child needs it. They need it on the North Shore.
Mm-hmm.
They need it. Every boredom is the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to use that time to give them a look at the possibilities of what they could be.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It also makes us all safer. You know that, right?
It does.
It makes us. We need to be safe from those that have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give them something to lose.
Right.
I told you, you're my hero. I don't care what CNN says.
Thanks, Robin.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being with us. And I'll see you next time. This has been your Other News with former officer. Do you still go by officer? Just
people still call me officer.
They still call you
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Officer Jennifer Maddox, a crime fighter, or better yet, a peacekeeper in Chicago. Thanks
Thank
again
you
for everything you do.
Appreciate it.